You're listening to the Results Driven Organizations podcast with Dr. Taunya Lowe, a podcast of curated conversations with C-suite leaders and those who support organizational growth and development. Get ready for inspiring interviews, educational lessons, and thought-provoking discussions that will challenge you to execute something new and innovative that will drive results in your organization. And now, here's Dr. Taunya Lowe.
Welcome back to the Results Driven Organizations podcast with Dr. Taunya Lowe. We are thrilled to kick off our fourth season. It's going to be packed with insights and strategies to elevate your leadership and organizational performance. This season, we're diving deep into crucial topics that will shape the future of creating results-driven organizations and leaders. We'll explore what it means to be an edgy leader in today's dynamic environment, unpack the intricacies of organizational culture, and provide valuable guidance on succession planning. We'll also continue our popular discussions on upskilling and reskilling employees, and that means you too, leaders. This season, just like our previous seasons, is designed to equip you with the tools needed to stay ahead in an evolving workforce. You hear me say that all the time. So season 4 is going to help you do that as we enter the fourth quarter of this year. We're especially excited to announce our partnership with EEVA Online Virtual Assistants. That's a mouthful. They are our sponsor for season 4. In today's fast-paced business world, efficiency and productivity are paramount, and EEVA Online is at the forefront of this transformation. Their virtual assistants offer game-changing solutions for time management, cost effectiveness, scalability, stress reduction, and 24/7 availability. It was a no-brainer for our organization to partner with EEVA Online Virtual Assistants to create additional supports for our clients and our online community. This collaboration aligns perfectly with our efforts to provide innovative solutions that drive success for our listeners. So be sure to visit the show notes page where you can see how you can do more with EEVA Online. Now let's talk about action. We are in the fourth quarter of the year. If you haven't taken intentional action all year, now is the time to do it. We don't want you to just listen to this podcast. We want you to implement what you learn. So grab a pen and a pad, or if you're on the go, bookmark this episode to revisit later. My team and I, shout out to Bianca Moore for pulling this data together. My team and I want to share 10 ideas for making small, consistent steps that will lead to change in your organization, team, department. But remember, it's going to start with you. I was working with an organization a couple of weeks ago, and everything that I said sounded like I was repeating myself. Well, this particular organization needed that consistency because they operate in inconsistency. And so when we want to see change, we really need to repeat those things that work and create those steps, repeatable steps for those that are watching. It takes hearing something 7 times. I think I heard it was 7 times. It might be 21 times now for people to grab it and take change. So I wanted to just share that with you before I give you these 10 tips. So here we go. And if you missed something, come back and listen to this episode. So tip number 1, according to a Harvard Business Review study, leaders who dedicate at least 15 minutes a day to reflection and strategic thinking were 30% more likely to make successful decisions. So the first tip is set aside 15 minutes daily for strategic thinking. And if you need some help with that, you know we have a book. It's called Results Driven Playbook for Success, a guide for strategic thinking. So it will help you make sure that you're spending that time in strategic thinking. And we'll put that link in the show notes page for you. Number 2, Gallup reports that employees who have regular check-ins with their managers are 3 times more likely to be engaged at work. So implement a weekly team check-in focused on goals and obstacles, goals and challenges. It doesn't have to take an hour. It could just be a quick, hey, Bob, hey, Betty, how are things going? How are you working? How are you doing on your goals this week? Do you have any challenges? How can I help you? Right? So as you're doing your strategic thinking, we're going to also implement weekly check-ins with our team. Number 3, start a mentorship program within your department. And I believe that mentorship can be, you can mentor up and across. So not just because I'm new or maybe I'm younger in the organization, but I believe that mentorship never has to end. We all need mentors. A study by Mentor CLIQ, Mentor Click, found that 84% of Fortune 500 companies have mentoring programs, citing improved retention and productivity. What are you waiting for? Who can you start linking up so they can start mentoring each other? And I love cross-generational mentoring. So think about that. Number 4, LinkedIn's 2023 Workplace Learning Report states that 94% of employees would stay at a company longer if it invested in their what? Get ready for it. Learning and development. Learning and development, training and development, they are the first to be cut when an organization is going through changes. But the reality is that's when you need it the most. Why haven't we learned that? So number 4 is create a personal development plan for each team member. And it can be as simple as calling Dr. Taunya to see how I can help, or just grabbing a book and go through the chapters. I just recommended that for one of my clients. Take a book, and you're meeting anyway. Spend the first 10, 15 minutes talking about one of the chapters in the book, but not just talking about it, be about it. Okay? So start a mentorship program within your department. Create a personal development plan for each team member. Okay, need to put these glasses on. Number 5, my friend and mentor, John Maxwell, says, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Introduce a failure of the week share to foster a culture of learning. And Bianca Moore, who's on my team, came up with this one. And I absolutely love it because we're always talking about we learn from our mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. But our mistakes are things, and our mistakes and our failures are things that many times we want to keep hidden because we don't want people to know that we're not perfect. Newsflash. So if you, at the end of the week, maybe during lunch or that Friday meeting that I don't know why you're meeting on Fridays, but maybe that Friday meeting, you can do something, make it fun, make it light, and introduce a failure of the week where people can talk about where they messed up, where they missed the mark, and most importantly, what they learned from it. And I take it a step further, and I would probably just create a list of the mistakes, but the lessons learned. And maybe, you can share that with people when they come into the organization. So I don't know. Shout out, Bianca. Good job. So number 6, dedicate time each month to review and update your succession plan if you're a leader. And I'm going to tell you, we've been talking about succession planning. You can go back and listen to some of the other episodes of succession planning. We've got a really cool one coming up this season. But really, you don't have to be a leader, wherever you sit in an organization, you can work on a succession plan. If you think that you're going to be moving, if you think that you're going to be leaving, go ahead and identify people in advance, right? Because there's some people that they may travel with their spouses because they're in the military and they know they're only going to be there for a certain amount of time. We don't have to have gaps in a department or in an organization because that happens. There are people that may get married and decide to move away, or they have a baby and may not come back to work. Or we can come up with so many scenarios, but we're not prepared for any of them. So, as a manager, as a leader in the C-suite, wherever you sit in the organization, where if you're not an independent contributor, dedicate time each month to reviewing and updating your succession plan. Deloitte's 2023 Global Human Capital Trends Report found that only 14% of organizations feel ready to address leadership succession and continuity. So, you don't have to do this on a large scale. You can, as I've said in previous episodes, you can start identifying those people, skilling them up. We are in an era of upskilling and reskilling, and it doesn't change with succession planning. So get started on that if you haven't, and it's never too late to start. And if you're new in an organization, start today. Start on day 1. Don't start on day 10 before it's time to leave. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Number 7, start a book club focusing on leadership and organizational culture. And I kind of alluded to that a little bit. Warren Buffett once said, the best investment you can make is in yourself. I always tell companies and the people in them, you don't have to wait. It's great when your company invests in training and sending you to coaching and all of that. But you can say, hey, we're going to study this book, Results-Driven Organizations, The 4 Keys to a High-Performance Workplace by Dr. Taunya Lowe. We're going to study this book, Everyone Communicates and Few Connect by John Maxwell. And again, just dedicating a small amount of time in the meetings that you're doing already, but not just talking about them and providing them like, I don't know, what are those little cookies you get when you go to the Chinese restaurant? Those little cookies. You want people to take the insights and start implementing the insights and maybe talk about them as you're going through the book. What's working, what's not working, what I tried something new. And the cool thing about that is it just costs a book where you can either order the book or you can listen to the book. But when you come to the meeting, you need to be prepared to talk about whatever section that you're that's going to be discussed in the meeting at that time. So leaders are readers. I always say that. Implement number 8, implement a cross-departmental shadowing program. A study in the Journal of Workplace Learning found that cross-departmental learning programs can increase innovation by up to 17%. We want curiosity, creativity, and innovation. We want that. And so in order to get that, we've got to talk to people. We've got to not just put people in a corner because they're not in our generation or they think differently than we think, or they operate in the workplace differently from how we operate. You're missing the mark on that. Go back and listen to our multiple generations in the workforce executive forum on YouTube or on LinkedIn. So implement this cross-departmental shadowing program where people get to shadow each other and learn about what each department is doing. Some may call it cross-training. I love cross-training, cross-mentoring, cross-shadowing. However you do it, do it. Number 9, introduce innovation hours where team members can work on passion projects. We got this from Google. Google's famous 20% time, 20% time policy allows employees to spend 20% of their time on side projects. This led to the creation of Gmail and Google News. So think about this in your organization. What are some things that it's not their job. It may not even be in their department, but they have this idea of how something could work better, more efficiently, more effectively. It's going to be more innovative. I'm telling you, your Gen Zers would love that. And so you can introduce innovation hours where they have time to kind of tinker around with their passion project within the organization. And then number 10, establish a feedback loop with your clients or customers to stay agile. Many times we are coming up with what we think our employees and our clients and our customers want. Yeah, I'm putting the employees in there too, but we're not talking to them. The McKinsey reports that companies that lead in customer experience outperform by nearly 80%. That's crushing it. That's 10xing it. That's what we need to do if we're not doing it. So I just gave you 10 ideas backed by data and research, because I knew y'all like to tussle. So I want to give you the data and the research, or you can go and find it yourself. But I want to challenge you to choose at least one of these, or come up with your own list and commit to implementing this fourth quarter. Remember, small, consistent actions lead to significant changes over time. That's how we change culture. It's not having a consultant come in and create all this paperwork, although I would love to come into your organization and help you, because I'm sure there's some areas where you need it. But when we talk about organizational culture, it starts with each one of you listening to this episode, really thinking about, what can I do to make a difference? So there you have it. Join us each week as we uncover more strategies and insights that will help you build a truly results-driven organization. Whether you're a seasoned executive or an aspiring leader, this season promises to deliver actionable advice and thought-provoking discussions. So get ready to transform your leadership approach and organizational effectiveness. Season 4 of the Results Driven Organizations podcast starts now. Let's make this season count by turning insights into action. Visit the show notes to grab a copy of Results Driven Organizations, the 4 Keys to a High Performance Workplace, or the Results Driven Playbook for Success, a guide to strategic thinking. While you're there, you can also grab a special gift to you for being a valued listener. It is our Readers series. And if you're striving for results and you need the right support system behind you, visit eebaonline.com/let's do more to learn how their team can help your organization achieve its goals with ease. And that will also be in the show notes page. Until next time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Results Driven Organizations podcast with Dr. Taunya Lowe. Be sure to review the show notes for the resources mentioned, and don't forget to grab your free gift available at freegiftfromtanya.com. Until next time.